Hello and welcome back to Bristol Sport TV, and we kick off a new year with a group of our sporting stars here for us, and welcome all of you. Thanks for coming in. We've got England international Sarah Bern joining us, fellow Bears player Tom Lindsay, and Flyers fan favourite Marcus Delpeche. I'm bigging you up on that one. We all love watching you in action on the court. Welcome to you all. Happy New Year. Did you all have a good one? I know everyone's busy training and everything, but Marcus, did you have a good New Year?
Yeah, after we beat Plymouth, we had a couple of days off. So my brother was actually down at the time as well. He flew over from Germany. So
your twin brother, who used to play for us a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah. So when we first signed here at Bristol, we both came down one day, and Dozy and Mike Vigor went to play in the Commonwealth Games. So it was really nice to see him again, because I wasn't able to see him when he flew off to Germany at the beginning of the season. So it was nice to have him around, and then. Yeah, it was fun with the guys because we had New Year's Day to ourselves. So
the question begs: if you hadn't beaten Plymouth, would you have been made to train?
Probably. I don't know. You never know. Andreas can get creative sometimes.
Well, your coaches, means, they put in fitness testing just after New Year.
Yeah, so normally they do it every year, so for us it's no different. But it means that you have to worry about what you're doing over Christmas, make sure you don't get too fat. But no, it's had a lovely time with my family and nice and chilled, ready to go for fitness testing when we're on the 3rd of January.
Yeah, ready to go again. Of course, the Six Nations coming up, which of course we will talk about in a minute. And Tom, you guys, I think you had fitness testing on New Year's Eve.
So New Year's Eve we had training. They gave us a New Year's Day off, which was nice to spend time with families, like Sarah just said. We were leading up to the London Wasps game on the Saturday as well, so it was quite a big training week.
Yeah, it was a big week. It's never a quiet week across the sporting group. It is always crazy busy. Let's kick off, shall we? I should say tip off then with basketball, because you guys, fantastic run. First time ever you are through to the BBL Cup finals. They take place a week on Sunday up in Birmingham.
Yeah, it's exciting times for sure. I'm really honored to be a part of it. Our group of guys, I think this year is definitely the year we can win everything. And it's one of the seasons where you feel like everything is in your control. If you're gonna lose a game, it's gonna be because of you. But if you win a game, it's gonna be because of the group of guys. And I think we're finally starting to get momentum. And obviously there's gonna be ups and downs throughout the game. But I think the biggest thing is that we've come together, especially with the last game that we played. I know during the third quarter when we were playing against Leicester, Leicester actually brought it back, and they were actually up at one point. And I like how we stuck through it and got the lead back quickly, and then made the final push and got that separation from them. And so this year I think we can do a lot. Obviously one game at a time, and we have a really big game next Sunday. But I think we got it. We're all excited for it, and we're preparing for it.
Well, you almost underplay it there, that mention about the Leicester game last week, because that was a huge moment. That's the first time ever you've beaten Leicester.
Yeah, we are officially 1-17 against them, and I
got the one on the board.
Yeah, I like the one on the board, and there'll be plenty more to come. I think we have Leicester at least 2 more times. So I just love that. We're making this. We've made history twice already. So being Leicester and then getting into the finals. So we're on the trophy route right now, and also with the regular season. So we have a lot of ambitions this year. But each part just trying to make history, and I think this group of guys to do it.
Yeah, you talk about the sporting team success is always about the team. It's never about one individual. It's interesting with the Flyers team this year. I think it was the smallest amount of change in terms of the retained list and the new players in. Do you think that's something that's helped the Flyers this season?
Yeah, I think especially keeping the core group of guys. Obviously that means coach trusts that those are the people that can buy into the program, and we know what the system works. So I guess it's easier to when the new people who are coming on board, you're surrounded by people who know the plays, know the system, and they can help with adjustments. And so I think it makes the transition for them a lot easier. And when you see everyone's on the same page and buying into that idea, and makes them get on board a lot quicker as well. And it just shows the coaches trusting us and are trusting each other. So I think it's a really good decision to have done that.
Yeah, well, you mentioned your twin brother Malcolm. He has gone overseas to Europe, to Germany to play. Do you think that's changed your style of game? Because you really seem to have come out of not a shadow, but you are very aggressive on the court and very demonstrative. Your sort of big dunks that you do it always seems to get the crowd going.
Yeah, I think definitely me and my brother up until beginning of last season, we've always played on the same team, always played, and we played the same positions, or when we're on the court, I'll play the 4, he'll play the 5. So I think and for up until that point, I think it was definitely known as the Delpeche brother. Oh yeah, those are the twins, you gotta watch out for them. But when he left, when he left for Munster, Germany, and then I stayed here. I think like that's like when we started to develop into our own. And then I actually was previous summer I had an internship in Boston, but he was at home, and so we both we didn't really get to work out that much together for that year, and so for that summer. So I think that's when we started to transition to develop our own games independently, and yeah, just coming into our own. I think it's showing. Then I love it. So
it certainly makes interviewing you much easier.
Yeah, for sure.
One is someone else, and I'm not going to interview the wrong brother.
Yeah.
A word on your final opponents. It's going to be Worcester. Mixed success rate.
The last game that we played against them, we beat them. But I know when the finals come, I think they'll be at full strength, and we'll definitely be at full strength. So I think where I already know that we're going to come out on top, but we just have to get there. There's 4 quarters in the game. Each 10 minutes, you have to win each quarter, and then by the end of it, whoever wants more, and I know it's going to be us. So we're going to get it done and make history again. So
let's hope so. And of course, you talk about getting there. Of course, there's a big fan following going up.
Every other day, there's people oh yeah, I'm coming to the Birmingham game. We had a flight. We had a players' appearance where we went to the camp, and 10 of the kids oh yeah, my dad got tickets to the games. We're going, and so it's glad to see that the Flyers family is just so big, and everyone's supporting, and to go out your way to drive 2.5, 3 hours to go see the game. I think it means lots to the guys, and so it even gives us more drive to want to bring a win back to Bristol.
Yeah, it's going to be a big afternoon that Sunday afternoon. Head to the website, of course. Everyone head online to buy your tickets. And of course, this Friday weekend you're at home against London City Royals.
Yeah, I feel we've played them so many times
now. It feels
now.
like you have, of course, because you played them home and away in the route to the BBL Cup.
Yeah, and it'll be great for us because now if we get this win, then we'll now be 3-3 in the regular season and start getting our position up. So
there are a lot of fixtures in the BBL with the various different cups and the league as well. But I know you do manage to make time to come and watch a few of the other sports, and I think you've been down to a couple of the Bears men's games here at Ashton.
Yeah, I've been to 2 Bears Bath games, and
well, you picked good ones.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, they were quite enjoyable.
Yeah, when I first came here, that's what we were. Steve actually told us a lot about the city and Bears connection. So it's yeah, if you guys ever want to get tickets and go to a game, these are the good games you need to go to. I was all right, I'm gonna go to the Bears one because I heard that was a derby game. So went there and literally the place was packed and it was awesome, and we ended up getting the win. And especially when it comes to those outdoor sports, I'm really, and being in the UK, it's cold, and I'm not really for the cold, to be honest. But how that amount of energy that was there, and the environment it was in, I really didn't pay attention to that. And just seeing once the final whistle blew and everyone went, the crowd went crazy. And
had you watched much rugby before coming to the UK?
I started watching rugby when I got to college because rugby was one of the programs that was there. But I didn't really get into it until my senior year when one of my mates played rugby there. But then once I got here, and especially being in such a big arena, I was yeah, sure, I've never been to a professional rugby match before, and I love it. So
yeah. And you've met the main man himself, Pat Lam. Rather bizarrely, you didn't meet him here and around in Bristol.
No, so I was actually, when I was on my flight over here, I had a layover in Dublin, and so his wife and her son, she just stopped me. It's hey, do you happen to play for the Flyers? And I was yeah, and she was oh, I'm Pat's wife, the head coach rugby of the Bears. And I was wait, what?
Well, they have been down to a few Flyers games.
Yeah. So I think she said they were coming back from a wedding, and so yeah, we ended up just hitting it off. And she was yeah, if you ever need anything, you can reach out to us.
Home cooked meal.
Yeah. And then she ended up almost a month later. She's hey, we're having a dinner as a family. If you'd be interested in coming, I was just yeah, sure. I'd love to. And their food was amazing. I stuffed my face. It was awesome. And
so there you go. It's the Lamb's house for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. I was yeah, I will definitely come here. I'll definitely come here whenever. And then obviously meeting Pat, being the head coach for the first time, that was awesome. He was really just humble guy, but
he's very understated.
Very, very calm, and I was just prodding him about his passions about rugby, what got him into it, and how long he's been coaching for, and it was just awesome. Just honestly, I don't know anything about rugby, so he was explaining to me about how rugby worked and different terms and stuff like that, and so it was a really enjoyable experience at their household.
Well, there we go. Top tips. That's the place for dinner, isn't it?
Yeah.
When needing a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
Tom, of course, you encounter them on a daily basis. Certainly, Pat. A word on where we are now. Of course, last weekend a fantastic result, a good win. The team spirit must be pretty good this week.
Gosh, yeah, hugely confident from the weekend. It's 48-3. So yeah, we obviously won that game. We got a good points differential, so obviously it means that we get top seed. So if we win this weekend against Zebra away, we're through to the quarter-final, which is a home quarter-final. And if we win that home quarter-final, we'll get a home semi-final, which is so important to have home advantage going into the cup stages.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always a bit of deliberate. I mean, a lot of time, and certainly in football, sometimes there's a reverse, and with rugby, I guess, a reversal of mindset in that sometimes it's better if it's a two-legged tie. You know, you want to have the second one rather than the first one, or, you know, is that something that playing here? I guess it is such a fantastic atmosphere. I mean, we are widely talked about as one of the best grounds in the Gallagher Premiership to play in. Is that does give you that extra bit of zip, I guess?
Well, definitely. From experience, I've played in quite a lot of grounds in the UK, and Ashley Gate is definitely up there. Like, there's not many grounds, obviously apart from Wembley and places like that, but Ashley Gate is probably one of the best grounds in the Premiership.
Well, like you say, you've played in a lot of different grounds and different places. Of course, a former Gloucester boy yourself, and a word on the news this week of our new signing, utility back, Henry Purdy.
Oh, Henry Purdy. Purdy's a great bloke. I met him when I was at Gloucester, and he was also in the Leicester Academy before that, so he knows Jordan Crane as well as Harry Thacker, and obviously at Bristol we've got Matt Prothero, myself, Dan Thomas, Joe Batley. They're all ex-Gloucester players as well, so Purdy's coming to a team where he knows quite a few boys there is, and he's an experienced player, experienced Premiership player, under 20s, so he'll fit in really well. And as Marcus said, Henry Purdy is now our weakest link, so it's important that as a team we get round him and make sure we upskill him, bring him into our culture, and we look forward to seeing him. He's playing on Saturday in the A-League, so I'm really excited to see how he goes in a Bristol jersey.
Yeah. How much does it affect you psychologically as a player? Because it is hard for players sometimes, you know, and certainly, you know, I think of football, you know, the men and women's teams are both in that January transfer window. You know, sometimes you can suddenly be, you know, your home is one place one day and then the next day you're gone. How difficult is it to make that readjustment? I guess in rugby you tend to know further in advance if you're going. There seems to be a much more long-lasting approach, if you like, to the transfers.
I think there's two sides to it. I think obviously the personal individual when it comes to their actual job changing, learning new systems, meeting new players, but in rugby I feel like, I'm sure it's the same in basketball, but when new players come and we make sure that they're looked after, the coaches are fantastic, will help out, like Henry for example, in all different facets of the game. He's playing Saturday, so it's making sure he's got all the systems right, the confidence to go through in training. We'll go through all the training in analysis, and also players in his position, like the 13s and the 14s, will sit down with him. But as I said, the other side to it is moving your family as well, especially in football. I couldn't imagine having to move halfway season. Obviously, you have to make sure it's right with your wife or your girlfriend and stuff like that, or how that works. But it's happened to me once in the season. I had to move in February to another club, and it was very hard. So it's making sure you weigh up what's right for you.
But of course, like you said, it'll hopefully help him knowing if you're
exactly.
He's not coming from
no, not at all. He spent 6 months in New Zealand as well, so he's had to play loads of rugby, and he still lives in Cheltenham, so it's worked out really well for him.
Yeah. Well, you've touched on the away game this weekend, of course, European Challenge Cup rugby against Zebra, but the following weekend, the big weekend that we're talking about, on the Saturday, of course, you guys, big derby game again against Gloucester, your former club.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge game. They're going really well this season. It's good to see them getting back to top flight rugby. They've got some fantastic players, and yeah, it's going to be a huge game. Last year was a big game again.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about the atmosphere that can be got here at Ashton Gate. I think the Wasps game we were nearly on sellout, sort of around 25,000, and I think the Gloucester game will be pretty close to that as well.
Oh, it should be. It was so close. If you go up the road, you're already in South Gloucestershire, so it's a huge derby game, and I think there's a trophy that goes behind it. I'm not sure. I think we won that last year between the two teams, but
it's just mainly the bragging rights there, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah. We've got them over Bath.
And crucially, the points in the Premiership.
No, exactly. Obviously, I know what you mean, yeah, but yeah, it's going to be a huge occasion, and I think most of the boys are looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about your role within the men's team, but perhaps something that people don't know quite so much is your involvement with the women's Bears team, which has been since the start of this season, and as a coach to them. Yes,
very fortunate. Jordan Crane was originally the Bears forwards coach, and he spoke to me, and Pat spoke to me in in October, because he's now moved over to the academy coaching role. He said, "Would you like to do it?" And I took it with both hands. I was supposed to I was approached a few months earlier, but I couldn't take it. But
it's funny how things align sometimes,
it's very,
isn't it?
very
Because
weird.
of course Jordan moving into that role freed up that position, and like you say, coaching is something that you've been involved in throughout your career. It's something that you're very keen on.
Definitely, I feel like coaching has helped me an individual playing as well, because you understand things from a different angle and you can see how it works and how different people learn in all different ways. And Pat's very good at that, using methods to help people learn in different ways, be that analysis, be it actually physically doing it, or be it writing down what you want to do. So I felt that's helped me as a player and transition to coaching as well. But I've been very fortunate to work with some amazing players and great coaches with Kim and Matt, and I look forward to carrying on doing it.
Yeah, well, I know the feeling is mutual from the women's team, because I've heard just how much they're singing your praise. I won't big you up too much, but they've said how
Yeah, he's rubbish.
how beneficial it is having someone like you in the team. And I know Amber has spoken before about her relationship with Ian Madigan and helping with her kicking game. And for you, I guess, having access to someone like Tom on a weekly basis is just useful.
It's great to have Tom there, especially with my scrummaging. Like I always say, I'm always learning. I think, you only really get a master of scrummaging when you're probably in your later years of playing, really, because every scrum's different. So having Tom there to help me on this, whether that be on the sidelines or whether that be in a training session, is great. And also, if I ever get the chance to go in, if it doesn't clash with camp, Tom's there videoing me scrummaging against some of the other fellows, which they're so lovely, and it is literally invaluable to me.
Yeah. Well, you talk about sort of the experience side of it. Of course, last weekend was a fantastic result against Forward Waterloo, 48. You nilled them, and also quickly first came back from injury as well for Amber.
Yes, it was great. It's amazing to have Amber on the pitch. She's just such a leader and an amazing player and has so much knowledge. So when she's on the pitch, it's just it flows a lot nicer, and we have a lot more attacking opportunities. So that's great for us, and I loved being back on the pitch as well. Missed just the last couple of games after the autumn. So for me, it was just great to just have another run around, put my boots on, and see how I went.
Yeah, and I think it's been, a tough season for Bears women. The last run of a few games where there was the losses, but it just sort of showed they was such a young team, and you say about not having those sort of key figurehead people, someone like Amber to be able to take control of that, then actually you're just going. I think one of the players that was replacing was sort of 20 years of age, which is a tough ask.
And younger, probably. It was loads of 18-year-olds. Some 17-year-olds that come training with us now, so it's
so hopefully you're both back, remaining fit. Now last year was a massive year for you personally. You are the ripe old age of 22, but you now have you got voted best player of the RPI Player of the Year last year, and made the shortlist for the World Player of the Year.
Yeah.
What does 2020? What are you going to do in 2020?
I have no idea. Just keep playing. I never thought. Our ambition of mine was always to be. Everyone. I think when you play, you want to be the best that you can be in your position, in any sport. So, to actually. I never ever thought that it would be last season. That would be. I would have such a good season. I had quite a bad injury, and it was frustrating. And I just got my head down and did all my rehab to come back to even be selected for the squad. So to be able to then carry on the rest of my season and get all the accolades that I did and the support I did was phenomenal. So
I think it makes it even more impressive that you managed to do it after the small amount of games that you actually were able to play. I think it was probably a third of the amount of games that you could have actually taken part in.
Yeah, my target for next season is just to play a whole season, get through the autumns nice and fit. So that's my next target. Yeah.
Well, of course, you talk about autumns and internationals, and of course, all eyes are now focused on Six Nations as we go into the final sort of run of them. Wales, of course, announced the women's squad earlier this week, and a few Bears names on that sheet.
Yeah, it's amazing. When we have our Welsh girls there, I think 5 of the girls got named, and Shuan named as captain, and it's just amazing. When they're on the pitch with us, it just brings the standards up and the knowledge and the absolute just drive to want to win. So I'm so proud of all those girls. You know they're going to be named in the Welsh squad, so it's going to be exciting to watch them play.
Yeah, and of course the Red Roses named next week.
Yes, touch wood.
And touch wood. There will be 2 main names on that plate
Fingers
on that
crossed.
sheet.
We've just come out of we've been training on and off, going into camp each week, so things are going really well. The girls are looking nice and ready to go, and hopefully have a great Six Nations. Touch wood. We're aiming to keep our title as Grand Slam champions, but you know, we've got a tough game, France away.
It's a big opener, isn't it?
It's a massive game. The French do so well to fill a whole stadium. It's no one else does it like them, to be honest. It's tough, it's hard work, especially with the French fans. If you play in France, like, even if France are playing bad, they start booing France, so, you know, let alone if you're playing badly. But, you know, that's why we play for big games like that, so it's definitely something that we're all looking forward to.
Yeah, well, and fingers crossed that yours and Amber's names are on that team list. I'm sure they will be. But then looking to the rest of the season as well, of course, that aspiration to finish higher than 6th. I think 7th at the moment, but all of those winnable games in the next few rounds. I think it's 3 last home games we've got up at Shaftesbury
definitely. Especially if we keep pushing forward, and we've definitely worked really hard on our work-ons, and we saw a great outcome on Saturday. So we've got a tough game against Wasps, which will be tough, but I reckon if we can go out how we did last weekend, we potentially could have that win.
So that one's away. Your next home fixture is?
Well, we've got, so after the next home game, after the game of the weekend, we've got an 8-week break.
Yeah, it's a big old break for the
So
internationals.
it's obviously great for the internationals, but it's also really good for us to refocus as a group and work on things that we need to get better at, and make sure we're keep going on things we're doing well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it always feels weird, you know, in January saying you've only got 3 home games left, but of course there is that huge break. So and I think the support at Shaftesbury Park, it's amazing, isn't it? It's great to see the crowds rising. You talk about, you know, it's not quite filling a full French stadium, but the
it's
crowds
definitely
are
one of the better ones in our Premiership. You know, it's growing, and actually Crusaders do a really good job of getting loads of our sister clubs there, and friends and family. It's normally pretty filled and around the edges, so for us, you can't ask for much more than having a full stand, so that's what we love about it.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for next week. And of course, you guys were at our gala dinner just before Christmas, our annual sporting gala dinner, which is our chance to raise money for our sporting group's charities. And it was another good night, good showing as ever from the Flyers, particularly. They all seem to be enjoying the evening, shall I say?
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, me personally, like, I love getting dressed up in a tuxedo every once in a while. So it was like nice that our coach sorted us out, like getting everyone like suits that fit, which we were really impressed.
Yes, we have to say thank you to the people that sponsor those suits, because it's never easy getting the Flyers, their DJs in time.
Yeah, but it was great. It was always like great energy, and it's always a good environment to be in.
Well, and also, you know, the predominant, apart from, you know, it's our one chance in the sporting year to bring the whole sporting group together. It's such a fantastic showcase for our charities and the fundraising opportunities that presents. Of course, we raised more than £50,000 on the night, and there's so many. I know you're involved in some of the community work, and Amber's been very heavily involved with Eagle Project and women's sport participation. It's a great night. Yeah,
it's fantastic, and it's so exciting. This year we're going into the Bear in Mind project, and it falls within Six Nations, but when I'm not in Six Nations, if I get called into the squad, I'm planning on going down and helping out, speaking to the girls on, you know, like body image, healthy eating, stuff like that. Like, you know, a lot of young girls don't really get access to, and just trying to build their confidence to keep them playing in sport.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, none of those can happen. You say it's a good night to talk to the people that are normally in the suits. You know, they're the key people that make it happen. It's the sponsors and the corporate sponsors. I think Aspire Financial Partnership are the sponsors of Bear in Mind, and have been a long-term partner of the rugby programme. And you talk about the sort of mental health and well-being. Tom, I know that's something that you're very firmly involved in with the RPA.
Oh, yeah, I'm the player representative for the RPA for Bristol, and one of my roles, I recently just finished my mental health first aid course, so using that to help identify traits and people that are struggling, and through that put them in the right direction of where to go and things like that. With Bristol itself, though, we as a group want to inspire the community with rugby success, so there's huge work going on. Same with the girls' game, obviously same with basketball. We go in, the boys go down to help at the homeless shelter every week. I think they go down there, bring sandwiches, soup, serve soup, give kit, especially in the weather when it's horrible and wet and cold, and obviously they haven't got anywhere to sleep. So there's a lot of community stuff going on in the background. We try every year to raise our goal of how many hours in the community. Same with the girls, I know we're doing that as well.
I know, I mean, Charles Pittar spoke very eloquently at the dinner about, you know, this target of 600 hours of community service. I mean, it's a phenomenal amount, and I know you guys work in the community as well.
It's vital. I think it's vital to inspire your community. You need to know that you're in touch with the community. So if we just did nothing and just carried on playing, or were quite selfish, I don't feel like we'd be able to breed young boys and girls who want to inspire themselves to be on the basketball court, playing for the girls, playing for the boys, in football as well with the Robins. So I think it's very important that we are building as a city, and I think we're doing a very good job at the moment.
Yeah, no, it was a great evening, and as you say, a valuable evening in terms of raising awareness, but also raising valuable funds. You've mentioned City there, of course. This weekend they take on bottom of the table Liverpool. City women just 3 points in front of them, so it's such an important one to take all 3 points.
It feels like we haven't been at home for ages. Like we're away at Man United, away at Chelsea, and obviously Christmas break before that. So it's been a while since we've been back at home, but hopefully the crowd will get behind us and push us on to get that win. We put ourselves in a great place getting them 3 points, which no one expected, and we all have that belief in each other to go out and get a result, and we always know that we can compete with any team, no matter what. If we concentrate and do the things that we need to do the basics, we can always get something out of any game.
Of course, tickets available online for that City women game against Liverpool at the Stoke Gifford Stadium. Kick-off at 3 o'clock. Head online for that one. And of course, their male counterparts playing here at home at Ashton Gate on Saturday afternoon. 3 o'clock the kick-off also for that one as they take on Barnsley, and hoping that they take all 3 points. Of course, a win could see them move back into the playoff positions. Busy weekend then for everyone. You guys heading off away against Wasps and away to Zebra. Let's hope it's a win from both of you. And then Friday night at home, as ever, a packed Wise Arena.
Exactly. Looking forward to it. Fans have always been really supportive, so let's keep it going.
Here's to a noisy one, and let's see a few high-flying dunks from you. More of them.
I'll try.
Okay. Thanks very much, and that's it from us.